Hello and welcome to Zaita Talk. Thank you for joining me. I am Paigham Mustafa, and this is where I speak about some of the things that draw my attention. The difference between this and other such podcasts is that I take a look from a Quranic perspective, because it is only when Islam is seen through the unique prism of the Quran alone that it raises the measure of human endeavour. I am an author, and I've been researching and studying the Quran since 1988 and spent 2 years writing an exposition of this book. This rendition is different in a way that others are not. As you listen to my talks, you will get to know how and why, but primarily my contention is that what people believe to be in the Quran and what it actually says are two different things. I ask you not to let fear and hate prevent you from knowing the truth. Whatever your belief, the Quran is a compelling read. It's worth mentioning that if you're interested in reading my book, then it is available from Amazon. If Islam is true, why then are Muslims in such an abject state? Does the Quran inspire violence against non-believers? Should Muslims fear being branded apostates and face violent reprisals when they openly question their beliefs? Is stoning a punishment decreed in the Quran? Is democracy acceptable in Islam? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why is there no charity in the Quran? What is the meaning of life? Few Muslims know Islam from the Quran, but there is every reason why you should. The trend today is to malign and demonize Islam, but history shows that it has always been valued by astute and intelligent individuals. American Congressman Keith Ellison took his oath of office on a copy of the Quran originally owned by Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of America, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence and the third President of the United States. John Greaves, the civilian professor of astronomy at Oxford, also showed interest in matters well outside his scientific discipline. His notebook has excerpts from various chapters of the Quran, which he translated into Latin, the scholarly language of the day. Muslims in Europe. Muslim rule in Spain is part of the golden age of Jewish history. This was a period of freedom of tolerance for Jews. Along with Christians, they entered the fields of government, science, medicine, and literature. Spain was home to by far the largest and most brilliant Jewish community in Europe. Elsewhere, the Jews were being hounded and persecuted. The world has changed and is changing at a rapid pace. Events in the last few decades have put Islam in the news almost on a daily basis, though not generally in the best light. It's more important now than ever before to understand the Quran. This is simply because what Muslims say and do in the name of Islam affects people in every corner of the world. Suicide bombings, stonings, beheadings, honor killings, misogyny, social injustice, infanticide, slavery, sectarian and vigilante murders. When we see the violence and backward culture often associated with Islam and Muslims, the question that comes to mind is, what kind of doctrine is it that leads men and women to behave in this way? Therefore, it is important to understand what Islam really is and what the Quran actually decrees. Poor translations and fear of properly interpreting it and risking the displeasure of the Imams, the self-appointed guardians of faith, have left the Muslims stagnant and backward. But the Quran, when read with true understanding, gives an invigorating perspective. When seen through the unique prism of the Quran alone, Islam raises the measure of human endeavour because it is a guidance for the development of both the individual and society. The Quran, New Millennium Exposition. Now for the first time we have an exposition of the Quran in English that really is different. Unrestrained by traditional bias and cultural influence, the values and concepts are entirely as originally expounded when the Quran was first revealed. Now with added clarity and accuracy of an improved translation, this rendition is far better than any edition available today. Also, the Quranic thought process that had deteriorated over time, stagnated and stunted progress has now been reconstructed and strengthened on its original foundations. Whatever your belief, the Quran is a compelling read. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed this talk, please like and share this and subscribe. Goodbye for now.